Gaming the System. Today we're going to be covering a video from someone that I'd subscribed to for quite a while, although he hasn't been uploading as much as he used to. But I saw this video come into my sub box and I was like, huh, that's a interesting question you've got there.
Pretty good timing considering Atelier Ryza just came out, and everybody's appreciating the fine posterior of that young lady.
What are we talking about, Naretsu?
What do you mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about our JRPGs becoming too lewd.
Capital letters, lewd.
Yeah. So, I came across this video and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I gave it a watch, and it has a section in it that I think will be very interesting to talk about. And I made a comment on this video myself, actually, because I found some of the opinions shared in this to be quite not very to my taste.
Different from yours?
Yeah, a little bit different.
Different, therefore wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. But
So that's a definition.
So yeah, let's get right into it and see what his thesis is.
Final Fantasy VII, the countless hot spring scenes in various
Hang on, I think the video might have jumped forward a little bit, so I might go back to
the
the
Great fucking job.
The great perils of Watch Together.
Alright, let's try it from here.
If you're like me, you've been playing JRPGs for the better part of 2 decades, and you've seen the sensitive material in these games, like the cross-dressing scene in Final Fantasy VII, the countless hot spring scenes in various JRPGs, and of course, Dragon Quest's infamous Puff Puff. But you've also seen how sensitive topics can be used for compelling storytelling and bring to light sensitive topics and interesting.
Request a pause, just because I feel. I hope he doesn't say that cross-dressing and hot springs are lewd by definition.
I'm not sure if that's what he means, but I can see
in the case of Final Fantasy VII, that is used kind of for a comedic take, so I suppose we could
my argument mainly centered on if you would say that hot springs are lewd by any means.
Which they're not. Well, at least in Japanese culture, they're not. Or bathing isn't considered lewd by definition.
It's not lewd by default. You can do lewd things in the hot springs, but the actual act of the hot springs is not classified as lewd because they have a very different culture around bathing than what the West does. In the West, bathing is a much more private kind of affair. Where you do it in private.
I do hear that the Finnish and the Japanese very much share this culture of bathing. One is a sauna, one is an onsen, but it's still hot water.
Yeah. And, so it can depend on the culture, right? Because you have one philosophy, which is where bathing is more of a communal type thing, whereas in a lot of other Western countries, it's a more private thing that you do in private.
In Rome, bathrooms themselves were communal and open air, like toilets. You shat looking at everyone else. Amazing.
Yeah, what a time. So yeah, I'm not sure if he meant for it to come off as if he was saying that these things are inherently lewd, but I can definitely see that interpretation of his words. And I think
when that's the opening sentence to a video titled "Are 8 JRPGs becoming too lewd?" That's not an unfair interpretation. In fact, I'd say that's the expected one for most people.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So so now we're starting to move into how they cover sensitive topics within.
By the way, cross-dressing is inherently lewd to me. Yes.
Oh man. So yeah, let's see where he goes with the idea of sensitive topic coverage.
And before I get too deep into this video, I just want to pose this question. Are JRPGs getting too lewd? And I want to give a spoiler warning for...
No. That was actually the first comment on the video, where someone was like, not enough, next video. but it's an interesting question. Are JRPGs becoming too lewd? And I think my answer to that is no, because they've always been.
It is, of course. I haven't watched the video you have, but of course,
yeah.
you need. There are many questions before that needs to be answered first. I mean, ignoring what is an RPG, who cares at this point? But what is too much? What is loot? Is how much is
console
there...
or PC RPGs? Because computer RPGs over in Japan have a long history in the Eroge scene, so...
Yeah,
so there are many aspects that really need to be answered first, but I'll wait with those discussions a little bit further.
Yeah, because I don't want to give spoilers, because I've already seen the video. And
I was just going to say, I mean, your opinions, do you guys think they're becoming too lewd, or do you think they're becoming lewder? I think would be a better question is, do you think they're becoming more sexual in nature?
I would argue that we've seen a slight increase in the sexual nature, but I have a feeling that it's hard, because I think that there's always been, like, the Japanese have always been more open, in a sense, about sexual material, right? At least more open than the West, right? You can see that very clearly, right? In their culture.
Oh no, it's demonstrable with Zero ratings, because they traditionally Super Bunny Hop did a good video on this about rating systems around the world, but Zero has traditionally, though that is changing a little bit with the times, but Zero has traditionally not had as big of a how would you say it, has not had a bit as big of an issue with sexual or erotic content as the West has in terms of rating, whereas they have a much bigger issue with violent content.
Yeah. So I feel like are JRPGs getting lewder or too lewd? I think the answer to that is the same as my answer to his question that he's posed, and that's they've always been lewd, right? I don't specifically see them getting lewder. I just see there are games that have more, like, because again, it depends on the game almost, right? I hate to do the whole depends on the child fucking argument, but it's like some games are lewder than others, and some games are made to be more serious while others are more comedic. So you have a very wide gradient between different titles. So I think it's very hard to make the generalization of, okay, are JRPGs as a whole becoming more lewd when you have such a varied amount of content going on, I guess. That's how I would put it. So yeah, let's continue.
Persona 4.
I was gonna ask.
I'll let you go. Then.
Well, I was gonna ask Ellie first, and then my take.
Yeah. That was my problem.
Yeah, I kind of want to wait on until his definitions become clear, because otherwise I feel like we're going to... I mean, he's not going to talk back at me now, but...
No, yeah. Well, I just thought it would be more interesting, because we could build off of that, throughout. With me, I think they're becoming lewder in video games aimed at the older audience, or like JRPGs aimed at the older audience, but for JRPGs aimed at a younger audience in Japan, I do think they're becoming less lewd.
Right. And that kind of ties into what I was saying about the idea of there's a massive gradient going on in terms of the content, and it changes based on the game and what the game is aiming to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where it's targeted at. So yeah, let's continue and see if he defines anything.
In Persona 5, to properly talk about this topic, I'm going to have to spoil a few moments from Persona 4 and Persona 5, and I'll have the time stamped on the screen when I talk about that, so if you haven't played them, you can skip over that. And I also want to warn people that there will probably be some sensitive, lewd imagery in this video, and it's probably going to get
I can tell you right now, there probably isn't, because the video's still on you.
Well, he says demonetized, not removed, or he's going to finish saying
well, I
demonetized.
mean, like, yeah, I know. He's going to talk about.
Look at that bare shoulder. That is already an SFW. Ugh, holy crap!
Fucking just disgusting. Just ew.
My dick is already sensitive. What?
All right, let's keep going.
monetized, so please like the video. It's probably going to get demonetized and nobody's going to watch it, but
Like
just a
our
warning in
video as
case
well.
you're sensitive to that type of thing.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.
Make sure you like and subscribe and hit
What
the
he
bell
just said do to
notification
us.
button. Also, fuck, that character design is so good. I can't. Just,
Is
holy
it
shit.
Is it Mel doing the designs this
I
time
don't
around
know.
again, or is it somebody else?
I'm not sure, but like whoever did the design, just fucking goddamn, there's such a good design. It's perfect. But anyway, let's get in.
So the reason I even wanted to talk about this subject in the first place was a situation that came up on Twitter. Now, every month PlayStation does this post where they ask their fans to vote on their favorite game of a particular month. And as a joke, I replied, "What, no Atelier Ryza?" Just as a joke, accompanying it with a dismayed Kermit the Frog facepalming, just in jest. I didn't really think anything was going to come from it. But then somebody replied, and it really started an interesting conversation. And this person said, "That's because they are usually associated with adult-only entertainment. To be fair, on Steam there are many pedo games, and it's not even funny anymore, and those titles tar the reputation of other anime games with no/tasteful adult content." And I got to
That's a bold statement, but considering he used AE, I'm already going to assume he's British, and ergo his opinions don't count.
So how do we feel about the statement of this Twitter person? Because
it's very misguided.
yeah.
Look, you play Neptunia once, and suddenly you're a menace to society. Every day when I am going down the street, and I am just like, there are people with their children around, and I just hear some fucking neckbeard go, Nepu Nepu, and start jumping while visibly, audibly saying jump, and it's like that person's going to molest something.
You play Neptunia once, and all of a sudden your tail's on the bench. Fucking.
I join the other children in laughing at him.
Oh my god! It's like, on one hand, it's like, I don't know why you would respond to someone like that, because that's just like.
It's Twitter.
Someone who unironically calls those types of games pedo simulators is not someone that you should take seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an actual simulation of something like that, I want the actual act of purchasing a van, scouting out I'm not going to get into detail. It's going to actually get this video.
You're gonna give fucking game developers ideas.
Shit. Only the bold ones, but it's a comment on Twitter, and like, as in somebody from the outside looking in at Twitter, I think it just kind of makes people retarded.
Yeah, it does. I spend way too much time on Twitter than I should. It's a fucking problem.
That explains you, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's like, those types of people are everywhere on Twitter, and I know this because I'm on Twitter quite a lot, right? And they're just fucking idiots. The
person who made that comment, define what pedo simulator, if you see this video, means for us.
Yeah. You can't take shit that people say on Twitter seriously, right? Or at least not all the time. You can't look at someone that goes, "Oh, look at all they're tarnishing the good name of my weeb games."
Naratsu, could you go back for a second and try to pause on that tweet?
I can. Give me a sec. Oh, there we go. Is that good?
No, not for me. You should play and then stop, otherwise it won't work for me.
Okay.
thinking,
There you go.
No.
is that really what people think?
Nah,
of
we're still a
JRPG?
bit out of sync. Go a little bit
okay,
further back.
I'll go way back.
To be fair, on Steam there are many.
And then I'll pause it.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, now
Okay.
it works.
So, yeah. That's...
So he said...
Also, this is a PlayStation fanboy, and the experience with...
oh, yeah.
I think the phrase that, this might actually get this removed from YouTube, but whatever, I think the phrase that V uses is so... Yeah. And I think that... From experience, you can bleep that out, right? I'll bleep it out. But from experience, they tend to really like bashing other platforms that aren't the PS4, and they'll typically crowd the sections of like a Nintendo Life and something like that, just bashing what the website's intended for.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit off topic, but I was seeing a lot of Sony ponies, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, not understanding how PCs work when news about Red Dead 2's optimization being a little bit jank and being quite hard to run on certain rigs. They were like, "Oh, look, you need to have a $1,000 fucking graphics card to run it. It runs fine on my PlayStation or Xbox." And it's like, oh, fuck's sake.
And what about the time that Death Stranding got announced to be on PC?
Yeah.
Oh my lord,
They were salty. Salty.
I'm divided on that because like if they don't, off topic just a little bit, but like if it comes on the Epic Store, I'm actually just gonna get it on the PS4 because like I can't.
No. I think they specifically said it's coming to Steam.
Oh shit! Really? Oh, that's awesome.
I'd have to look. I have to look it up. I'll have to look it up. I'll do it now while we talk.
Thank
about
you,
this tweet.
Kojumbo.
But yeah. So this tweet, right? This is exactly the kind of tweet that you don't take seriously, right? These kinds of people that talk about, you know, pedo simulators and it's tarring the reputation of other anime games with no.
I will give him some credit. The fact that this. 1 second. Oh shit!
No,
cut that out of the video.
It's all good. So don't worry about
I'll leave it in. But no, the fact that this comment actually sparked a idea to have a discussion about this, I guess kind of says a lot about how open-minded he is, that he can actually, you know, see this and be like, I wonder. So I'll give him some credit.
I found a PC gaming article about Death Stranding. Okay, so they might not have specifically said that it's coming to Steam. They've just said that it's coming to PC, so I'm not sure. But either way, it's, you know, yeah, I think this is the type of comment that someone like Jekko would like retweet and dunk on, right? that's the kind of comment that this is.
Argue for 5 hours for.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you should just kind of be like, that's kind of funny, and then just move on.
I mean, there's so much to unpack in this tweet, as the hipsters would say. Because they're usually assaulted with adult only on entertainment. Well, ignoring one, adult only is a very rare thing in video games. So
yeah,
then,
I don't want to spoil anything, but we're going to get to age ratings a little bit later in the video, and the whole AO rating thing, right? And that you don't actually see a lot of AO ratings because the AO rating is stigmatized to fuck. If you get an AO rating, then your game is practically dead on arrival because nowhere wants to fucking buy it. Like, nowhere will sell it because you're considered to be a pariah. And and I'll talk about it more when we get to that part in the video, but I think that that's fucking disgusting. So
yeah, just to finish the tweet, the whole tweet. To be fair, on Steam, there are pedo simulators on Steam. So let's be fair to Steam for hosting what he calls pedophilic simulators. But it's not funny. Let's be fair to Steam. They have simulators that you believe are actively harmful and reprehensible. But it's to be fair to Steam, and it's not funny. And those titles tar the reputation of other anime games. Other anime games. I mean,
he's talking about Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah, I
or
guess.
Like something shonen shit related.
But then you see some Dragon Ball Z episodes, and then you see it's not.
They ignore that.
Yeah,
cognitive dissonance is pretty strong in people with a very low IQ.
Yeah. Well, let's continue because.
We've been on this for a little bit, but let's see what.
We got
pedo games, and it's not even funny anymore, and those titles tar the reputation of other anime games with no /tasteful adult content. And I got to thinking, is that really what people think of JRPGs and games with an anime style aesthetic? Like, that bummed me out so much. And,
Like
you know,
video.
like I've said, we've played these games for so long, we're so deep into it that we don't even think about it. We just accept it as that's what's a part of the genre at this point. And so I took this topic
here. Like, I know we're pausing just soon after, but
no,
that's a joke I've been here. The whole all anime fans or all weeaboos or pedophiles is a thing I have been hearing all the way back since the mid 2000s, and I can find in articles on Something Awful all the way back in 1998. So this isn't a new perception of anything with an anime aesthetic. In fact, I would say it is, and the fact that people are actually divided on statements like that shows how far we've come, because that isn't the default assumption by, I would at least say, a quarter or a third of a Western civilization, or Western society, as it were.
Yeah, and again, it's weird because he's taking that seriously, and he's also like making the argument, oh well, maybe we're just too used to this content, so we don't notice it. And I'm like,
kind of hard not to notice it. I mean, it's a growing issue, as it were. It reaches up in front of me.
It's assuming that people that play these games are not self-aware, right? Like, it's like you wouldn't notice that there's lewd content in a game, right? Like, I think you'd probably know if there was, like, you know, if you're playing Neptunia and the famous, you know, bandage CG comes up or something, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you'd think you'd recognize. You'd think you'd
get a position panty shot, as it were.
Yeah, like you'd.
I think it's more about.
Remember that in Kingdom Hearts 2? Am I the only one who remembers that?
You've been probably the only one who played it.
Oh, really? Oh, well, and like the very, like, I would say, like, just towards the end, like there's a section you can walk on, and the NPC model for Kyrie's there, and if you position the camera correctly, you can see her panties, and they're detailed too.
Oh.
I put in the extra effort for attention to detail.
I noticed.
Just as we're on the topic of panties, I remember in Final Fantasy Zero, it's an RPG, not released a couple years ago. By now, I think, where the character director said, she said that, I need to get her words right out of memory. Something like, people were debating to just have a black void, but I thought, no, we couldn't do that to those girls, so I made have them all wear unique panties.
Fucking legend.
He's the hero those girls needed.
Yeah.
Nobody should have a black hole near their crotch region. That's just unacceptable.
Yeah. So that's one thing, and I completely forgot what he said just now.
He was talking about how he was bummed out about the tweet. Well, actually, no, fuck it. I'll just go back. It's easier. It's easier to go back a little bit than to try and remember what he said, because I don't want to misrepresent.
A quick episode quotes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
G's and games with an anime style aesthetic. Like, that bummed me out so much. And, you know, like I've said, we've played these games for so long, we're so deep into it that we don't even think about it. We just accept it as that's what's a part of the genre at this point. And so I took this topic to my roommate, who's usually pretty level-headed about things, and he has an interesting perspective because he doesn't play a lot of games and certainly does not.
Okay.
I think he's talking about what good old Jerry said, defender of Western values, where we are just corrupted instead of really not seeing it, being corrupted by it. You know, one is nicer said than the other and has more value, but in this context, it means about the same.
Also, I find it interesting how he just said that this particular person doesn't play a lot of these types of games, which indicates to me that he knows the person that the tweet is made from.
No,
he said it was a roommate.
Oh, Oh, he said it was. Oh, I thought he was referring to the tweet.
No.
Okay.
Though it is
referring to a
interesting
roommate, that's
that
fine.
his
I
immediate follow-up...
I just didn't hear him say, "Oh, my roommate." Right? I thought I heard him I thought he was mentioning his tweet, but that's fine. Anyway, I'll let you go.
Yeah, it is interesting that his immediate follow-up to an opinion from somebody who probably doesn't play JRPGs, let's be real, I'm just going to make that assumption about the person who made that comment, is to have somebody is to follow up with somebody who's also has an outsider perspective. It seems like it'd be something you'd, well, I don't know, maybe he went to, like, actual JRPG fans later.
Maybe. We'll see. Let's continue.
Not watch anime or play many Japanese games, if any. And he immediately brought up the show Food Wars when I brought this topic up to him. And he said, anytime I would ever walk by you watching anime, you'd be watching Food Wars. And, you know, if you've watched this show, it's got some great story. It's a shonen spin on cooking, and it's a really cool show and a lot of interesting characters. But if you've watched the show, there's also characters that have their clothes explode orgasmically whenever they eat tasty food, in particular women. And I know friends that don't watch that show, female friends that don't watch that show because of this. And he said that's
okay. So
yeah, that's not the audience for them.
Yeah, and I find it interesting how he has to clarify female friends who don't watch the show. Like, I'm not sure how that is supposed to make it worse, or
well,
it's the female friends in his head.
It matters because it is about, you know, female bodies, etc. So
right,
you know, I don't
begrudge
him.
But the males also have the same thing happen to them as well. It's not just the females that have that happen. There are times in the show, because I haven't watched all of it.
That's not convenient to his argument.
Yeah, it's not. That's why I'm bringing it up, right? Like, it's not just the females that have that happen to them. There's males in the show that end up stripping and getting naked because, like,
well, there's
in this very fucking image, there's a guy in the top corner wearing just a tie, right? Like, come on, like, look, come on, man. Look, he's just there.
Men aren't people, ergo you can't sexualize them. That's how it works.
Yeah, apparently. But that's getting kind of off topic. Like, the point that he's trying to make, right, is the idea that, oh, okay, so there's this anime called Food Wars, and because of this sort of sexual content, it's turning away these people that, you know, might otherwise like the story and the characters and all that, but don't watch it because of the, you know, ecchi content, I guess, to make it easier to say. And I don't know about that one. I think it's like you mentioned, Lolly. You were just like, you know, it's not for it's not for everyone. You don't have to, you know, be into it. Hang on, just checking my phone.
No, I'll be contrarian and say that you can compare this to an annoying game mechanic, and where you can remove an annoying game mechanic and have the same story, because to be fair, those scenes are otherworldly scenes inside the imagination, so you could easily replace those with something else.
You could,
but it'd be a completely different experience. But could be a completely different experience. We're not going back to that disaster of a 2-hour argument, but it would be a completely
we're not doing that because it's
it would be a complete.
No.
You absolutely could. That is the thing. You absolutely could, but it would be a completely different experience, and it may not be a thing that the people who are into it, the niche that is into it, could necessarily enjoy. And honestly, I think it would make for an overall blander product, or like a blander product, because it does it does divorce it of any personality, of some personality.
Yeah, and
that is a personal touch to it.
I'll just finish up with, you know, mentioning that females are turned off. I didn't like particularly those over the top scenes, because they are a little bit too. They charge too much with the normal world stuff, and I didn't like. And I thought the show got a little bit boring, so I stopped watching. But anecdotes are anecdotes, and unless you got a bigger group than anecdotes, I'm not going to really judge it either way.
Like, going back to, like, you know, when we do the whole seasonal things, like, shout outs, go watch those, but going back to how when we do the whole seasonal thing, we more or less skip over most of the alley shit, right?
Yeah.
We don't request that that content not exist or be removed. We simply find another thing. Yeah, no, we find another thing. I am glad that we live in a market so open that there is the gayest shit out there, and that there is a sizable portion of people that can find something incredibly gay to suit their interest. I'm happy for that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
because that's what people like. That's what these things are aimed for. I don't think any of those, and I'm pretty sure most people who argue for less sexual material or less female sexual material would probably have problems if I were to say, well, I wish this thing were less gay. They would probably have an issue with that, yes?
Yeah, I want this to be significantly less gay. You have to make these characters all straight. There must be no gayness in my media.
Yeah.
And now you're approved to be released in China.
Yay! You could get those Chinese. What fucking currency do they even use in China? Is it the yuan?
I believe it's also called not yen.
I believe it's the yuan.
Yeah,
it's the yuan.
You can get all those
same
wands.
Same symbol. I believe.
Yeah. You can get all those wands or whatever the fuck they call it. But anyway, let's continue.
What I think of anime, because I've seen that. Now, of course, if you've watched anime, you know there are tons of wholesome, not lewd anime. Anything that Studio Ghibli's made. There's just so many out there. I could go all day listing these things. And
two things, and I'm not going to discuss it. One is he asked this on his roommate, and his roommate commented on his one experience via him watching an anime. He could be, if he was an avid fan of Dragon Ball Z or something, he would have the experience explained via Dragon Ball Z. So that friend is a terrible anecdote, a horrible one. What was the second again? He said.
Then now he's talking about how
Studio Ghibli is completely wholesome and has.
Studio Ghibli is, controversial opinion, wholly different from anime industry.
Yeah.
It's basically it's night and day. It's like comparing the works of an indie art dev to a Call of Duty.
It'd be like comparing like anything Toei Animation does, like the Pretty Cure series, to like anything else airing. It is a very drastically different experience, and we're kind of backing up his point here. Like,
a little bit. Yeah, there is a vast amount of different anime for everyone. Like, that's the thing, right? Is I don't disagree, right? That there is this vast well of anime for everyone, and if you don't like one show, you can just watch another show.
My point was more that he is comparing, to anime, to Ghibli and something else, but I don't think it's really fair to call Ghibli part of the anime industry. That was more my point, but that was all I wanted to say. My controversial opinion.
But I think, in my opinion, I think that, again, there is such a vast well that you could pull from. Some people can like that gay shit, right? And then at the same time, they might not like shonen, right? There are different things for different folks. So I want to know how the fact that there, like, how do you justify the fact that things are too lewd and we have to tone down the lewd, right? Assuming that that's going to be his point later on, right? How do we justify that when he's arguing right now? Oh, there's all of these different things. You don't. You can watch this instead, or you can do whatever. Like, I don't see how you can justify changing something that other people enjoy when there is stuff out there that you can find that you can enjoy.
Well, he hasn't made an argument yet, but just to address the thing on screen for a while now, Altiera is a snubbed in PlayStation fan poll Was it snubbed if it just didn't get enough votes?
I don't think it was on the vote. Like he mentioned before
Oh.
that he was like they had like a tweet that had 4 games on it, and it was not one of the games. And he
Oh, I
made
mean
a joke. Yeah, and he made a joke tweet which was like, "Oh, no Italia Riser."
That's
Like, just as a jokey meme, and then he got that response, and then that's what triggered him to make this video.
Yeah, but you know the title and the subtitle here are two completely different questions and problems. So I'm a little bit not to say confused, but how are those two related? But that's all I have to say.
All right, let's keep going.
Like I said, we're used to this. If you've played JRPGs as long as I have, then you have seen this in the games for a long time, and you've seen other games that tell incredible stories that are not lewd or do not have sensitive content. For example, Kingdom Hearts. Of course, Disney would never allow that. They wouldn't allow sensitive content like that.
Pause. Yes, I can actually assure from my anecdote that there is in fact something lewd that happened in Kingdom Hearts 2.
I fucking love how I knew this was coming, and I tried to be quiet because I knew. Also, I don't know if it's paused on the same thing for you guys, but Scrooge McDuck's fucking stoner look right now.
I have Ratatouille kind of like shunting across Thor's arm right now.
Unfortunately for me, he just has his eyes open in a surprise.
Hang on, I know.
I wish you can see this because it's like it's almost like Ratatouille's running away from Rika's analysis video.
Understandable.
Right, I'm not. I know the viewer's not going to be able to see it, and I shouldn't pull a bio, but like. Fucking Christ. But anyway, let's keep going.
That to be a game that they're heavily associated with, like Kingdom Hearts. Of course, Pokemon is targeted at children, although adults like me in their 30s play those games.
James and Gardevoir.
I mean, Pokemon is targeted at children, but that doesn't stop the insane amounts of porn.
The moment the character gets revealed.
Oh my god, it's insane.
It takes like literally the speed of light.
Like sometimes during the announcement.
Yeah, they just like I don't know how the fuck artists managed to do it. Like
with such quality.
With such quality too. Like it's like they fucking already knew and made the works beforehand. It's fucking crazy. So
I wish I could speed run porn art. I really wish I could just play
speed run porn. Oh man, so yeah, Pokemon is wholesome in the actual game, yes, but that doesn't stop. Like, again, I find it very weird.
My experience with Pokemon Tabletop is very special. God, yeah. There's fan tabletop games, Pokemon Tabletop Universe, yeah. Almost every other story I have heard involving a Pokemon tabletop game, and at least a few of my own experience, involves a trainer getting raped at some point.
Oh.
It is very weird. It is very specifically a Pokemon fan-based thing.
Pokemon has a very interesting...
Pot calling the kettle black here, but...
Yeah, but let's continue.
And of course, that doesn't stop Rule 34 from veering its ugly head.
Look,
again, because it's associated with the Studio Ghibli art style, it's very wholesome, meant for young...
First off, there's plenty of lewd art about Ghibli stuff, but ugly head? What a judgmental call.
I'm attacked. I feel attacked.
Oh, no. But anyway.
Younger audience and doesn't really tackle sensitive content. So, of course, there are games with anime art styles and JRPGs that do not.
I'm extremely sorry. He said sensitive content for a while now, but he never really explained what it is. And it's kind of bugging me by this point. I mean, he said it twice, as I can recall.
He's trying to avoid YouTube's ire by not saying sexual too much.
But he says sexual and sensitive content.
Oh, I guess just sensitive or like stuff like, I don't know, like suggestions of like assault or violence or something like that. I'm guessing
the implications of things happening. I guess.
But that's still sexual if it's implied. So is he talking about like genocide and religious persecution and all that
Or
stuff?
fantasy monster dogfighting.
Racism, I don't know. Yeah.
Wait, no, it doesn't count apparently.
I'm not sure, but let's keep going.
Have lewd or sensitive content. But to answer the question, are JRPGs getting too lewd? I think the answer is yes. I think it's pretty easy to say yes. They've been lewd for the better part of a decade.
Pause.
I mean, I remember...
Better part of a decade, and they're only just now becoming too lewd. Also, yeah. I just want to point out that he's talking about Mugen Souls, and that's the same artist that did the Disgaea series. Disgaea came out in the early 2000s. That absolutely was lewd at times.
Yeah,
like
again,
and I'm actually going to put this out as my own anecdote for whether or not this could turn people off from playing Disgaea, and whether or not it's not just a personal thing on the part of, the person. My older brother is not at all into anime. We've watched a few things, whatever. He kind of gets weirded out with, anything related, or he at least, jokes or makes fun of, anything, sexual things in anime. He has a good sense of humor. He fucking loves Disgaea. He isn't even really into JRPGs. He fucking loves Disgaea.
Yeah, and it's really weird because he's answered the question of are JRPGs getting too lewd? Yes, but then he's making my own counter argument, which is that they've always been lewd.
I don't think that it's really a matter of JRPGs becoming too lewd. I honestly just think it's a matter of you have a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have eyes on things like this suddenly able to voice their own opinion and own subjective opinion on these things.
Yeah, it's more of a I joined that statement by saying that it is not that they're more lewd. There's more, maybe not even there's more of them. Well, that certainly is the case. It's more accessible. More come over here. We can easily see what's happening over there.
And then you have more people that voice their distaste or displeasure with the content,
or pleasure and approval,
or pleasure, the other way around. So yeah, I think that's actually a good point.
Bit of a white pill. Not everybody who isn't into anime has a giant stick up their ass.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But I think, as I was about to say, I think that it's possibly correct that it's more a case of, with the age of the internet and the fact that we've got more connectivity than we ever had, more people are starting to find and see these things and react to them, rather than them themselves becoming more lewd. People are just finally starting to open their eyes and see that they were lewd all the time, right?
The West can actually see things that they don't have access to via translations and stuff like that. Like back in the 90s, that wouldn't have been the case. We'd occasionally have heard of something like that, but we would never really would have gotten it in the West that much. Like Tokimeki Memorial was one of Konami's highest selling game series on the Super NES. That had some slightly risque elements because it was a visual novel on the Super NES. We just never got it over here.
Yeah. Alright, let's continue.
When I was reviewing Mugen Souls, that game had a scene in it in the Japanese version where you're giving a bath or you're washing an underage girl. And I remember talking to people at NIS America at the time. I was pretty close to them at the time. And they said if we had to leave that piece of the game would get an AO rating. And I mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw an AO rated game? Like,
yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah, that's because of the ratings board in the West, yeah.
Yeah, because they game devs actively avoid it because it is a death sentence, and that is a fucking huge problem in my opinion. I hate that. Yeah. I think that the AO rating should exist, right? But it shouldn't be stigmatized. You should if something is rated AO, right, it should have just as much right to be sold as any other game.
Well, AO is 18 plus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is it's weird because if something is rated that, like, the idea that's been given to game devs is that if your game is rated 18 plus, then it's just not going to get sold anywhere.
Well, because
stores won't put it
the
up.
ESBR is the American one, and those two adult only and something else, T and
Yeah,
whatever.
they have adult only. The thing in the U.S. and I'm sorry, the phone was interrupting me for a second. It might interrupt me
That's
again
right.
because nobody else picks up the phone in the house. Anyways, so no, with the ESRB or with the adult only rating in particular, this is entirely due to the publishers or to the platform holders. You can absolutely sell AO games in the US. Who's going to sell it though, and who's going to allow it on their platform?
That's the problem.
Nintendo isn't going to allow it on their platform because they have a reputation as a family-friendly company. Because of how
Sony's sure as fuck not going to allow it on its platform.
Well, I mean, even back then, because of how porn is viewed in the West, it's not going to be allowed on those platforms.
Well, an onsen scene isn't really porn in this case.
It isn't really porn, but you have to understand. Go to go in the U.S. and talk to any soccer mom and tell them that there is a bath scene in their child's video game. They will flip their shit.
Yeah. But
not just a bath scene. There is as he described it. There is a scene in the game where you have a underage character in a bath and you are washing them, right? Like, explain that to a US soccer.
That's hot. What?
Well, I just want to mention that adult only is 18 plus, but here in the European with our PEGI rating, Pan-European something, there's many games have the 18 plus sticker on them. Assassin's Creed, GTA, Call of Duty.
It's different in New Zealand. We
it's
also have
safer to say that in the US, the M rating is the real 18 rating, and the AO is just the X rating. They just didn't want to put X rating.
Yeah, and that's a problem because the US is such a huge market. Right.
Again, go to. I would encourage both of you, and I actually encourage people watching because it was actually a really informative video. Go watch Super Bunny Hop's video on age ratings around the world. It is very informative.
I think I've seen that one, and yeah, he does do a really good job. Bunny Hop in general does really good videos. He's very good.
That depends. Lately, he's been kind of.
Yeah.
Well, just skip the videos you don't like.
Exactly. Yeah. But in New Zealand, it's very similar.
Please watch our videos.
In New Zealand, we have everything from G to R18, but like there's less of a stigma on the R18 side of things, and I think there is a separate, very rare like AO rating that's used for just porn and stuff like that. But then again, we have issues in New Zealand with our ratings boards censoring things and doing, banning things when they really shouldn't be. So there's issues all over the world, and it has to be contextualized as to what market they're talking about, right? So if they're talking about an AO rating in America, that's different than talking about, as Ellie said, an AO rating in Europe or in.
I have a question.
Games get AO ratings in the EU all the time.
I have a question, actually. Ellie, because I'm not sure what the legal authority is, because I know that in Germany there was a lot of games that had to had certain characters replaced with robotic characters because of like a violence thing, and I know for a fact that Fallout, the first Fallout Interplay actually removed some of the violence and the ability to kill children for the EU market, because apparently that's not allowed legally or something like that. I don't know. I actually do have a genuine question. Does PEGI have legal binding authority in your country? Because the ESRB in the US is run by the ESA, which is a industry self-regulatory agency. It's not connected to government.
The PEGI is, well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to speculate. So please look it up yourself, as I'm going to speculate about what I think it is. PEGI is, as far as I know, is probably EU law, which means that every country has almost exactly the same rules as how PEGI should be implemented, or should be executed, which means probably means that either it says this product has to have a rating, or it's or countries are free to have to have a ACE check when you buy stuff that is more than 16 plus.
It says it's self-regulation here, and it's under the Interactive Software Federation of Europe.
Yeah, and in New Zealand, it's
well, it's not. I mean, I don't. But as far as I know, though, that body that isn't under the control of software manufacturers. Like
and I know, and I know that in New
ESBRs.
Zealand, I'm pretty sure that New Zealand it's a government agency.
Yeah, it's your censor board.
Because it's directly tied to that, and that's I think that's a massive fucking problem.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem. It's a problem that needs to be. There are a lot of issues in New Zealand around censorship that none of the political parties are fucking actually doing anything about. But that's getting a bit too political for this topic. Yeah. So let's try and swerve back.
I do know that PEGI, if it's not a government, I was pretty sure it was the European government that rated it, but it is required to make a rating that's valid for the entire EU, and that score sometimes has its difficulties.
From what I'm saying, what I'm seeing rather on Wikipedia, it's based on the code of conduct, and their individual EU countries can opt into it, but it's not a legal thing. It's an industry thing, and it just kind of the European Commission supports the PEGI
UK doesn't do it. UK doesn't. Germany has sometimes a separate thing, but all the others just use PEGI because it's easy.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Let's keep going.
Ray, you might as well not release it because you're probably just gonna get your game. It's not gonna be able to be sold in GameStop or on Amazon. It's just you're not gonna be able to sell it. But let's look at some examples from high-profile JRPGs recently. Of course, the one that just released, Atelier Ryza, all anybody wants to talk about are Ryza's thick thighs. Now, they claim that was not...
Them thick thighs. Oh, man. But anyway, let's keep going.
Not intentional, but I mean, come on. They lean to that pretty hard in a lot of promotional material. Of course, there's Cindy from Final Fantasy 15. Her boobs are popping out of her...
We're pausing a lot on this one. But he says it wasn't intentional, and he just kind of implies, they totally knew it was intentional. From what I heard, actually, and they did it in that interview where they said it wasn't intentional, this actually, with the Adler team at, I think it's Tecmo Koei, they said that it was enough of a shock to them that in the future they're going to put a bigger prioritization on the design of the lead character.
Wait, so is that in a good way or a bad way?
Sounds like
a good way because it sold a lot.
Based on character design.
Right, so they're gonna put.
You
more
can't get better
PR
design than that.
Yeah, you can't really, and like it becoming a meme and being this massive thing and getting all this fan art. Yeah, it is a net positive. It's free fucking advertising. Like, it's. I don't know how. So there are a lot of companies that don't actually seem to understand the power of stuff like fan art and lewds and that kind of thing.
Well, I think
right?
they also try and fail and then try to suppress anything negative or perceived negative.
The problem is also a lot of them try and they try too hard and it's obvious and it fails, right? One of the things that makes the Pokemon lewd, like harking back to that for a minute, right? One of the things that makes that a thing is that it's very obvious Pokemon doesn't intend for the characters to be lewded in that way, but they have these really, these designs that are just very easily malleable to it.
The designs are just good.
They're just good designs, yeah. And I think that's more what it is. Like, if you make a character specifically for the purpose of being looted, you're probably not going to have as much success if you just make a good character design.
Yeah. And just as a point, that actually shows the opposite of what he's arguing for, that, things becoming too lewd gets less people exposed to them. We have an opposite case in the case of Ryza. I know people who have never touched an Atelier game in their life that are suddenly very interested in the series, specifically because of the prurient nature of Rise's design. Like that did introduce them to the wider series.
Yeah, like I've known about these games, but I've never really particularly had an eye on them. But I will admit, like, this character design is really catching, like really eye-catching. It's a really good design, so I can see how it would draw a lot of people in because they'd be like, "Oh, look at this amazing-looking girl. Let's what's the story here? What's I want to know more
sex
about this."
bad, so
Yeah, obviously, but let's continue.
Sure, Pyra has comically oversized breasts in Xenoblade.
Okay, no. I don't think that's comically oversized, do you? Like that I'm not sure about that one. I don't think Pyra has I think the fan art might be warping his perception of reality.
Did you pause it?
Yeah, I did. Oh,
it didn't pause for me.
Oh, okay. It must have.
Well, the image jumped for me too. Oh.
Okay, I'll go back to where I was.
Panic.
Oh, uh-oh. I broke it. I broke it. Okay, I'm gonna play it.
2, Jade has pretty sexy.
Okay.
Alright. I'm on Jade right now. Jade.
I'm on Jade as well.
Oh, fuck's sake. Right.
Nice.
Alright, hang on. Okay. Everyone should be seeing Final Fantasy, yes?
Yeah.
No.
No, do you mean
okay.
Dragon Quest?
Okay, now we're on Dragon Quest. Okay, it seems to have fixed itself, so let's continue.
Maybe we should use
Suggestive
in the future.
actions and outfits in the game.
Maybe.
2B's ass hangs out so much that she might.
Okay. Alright. To the point I was actually trying to make was like, one, Pyra's breasts are not comically oversized. That's ridiculous.
And
you don't know what comically oversized breasts are.
Well, he's American, so he's used to he's American, so he's used to most breasts kind of folding into the fat, so he doesn't know what they look like.
Yeah. and secondly, 2B's ass is heavenly, and there is nothing wrong with.
You know the pixel count? I'm not even lying. There's a higher pixel count on that ass, I can tell you right now, than anything else in that image.
Oh yeah, they proved like someone ripped the models and like looked at it.
Also, I do actually want to point this out. Yoko Taro is the type of person where he can absolutely enjoy something like that, but still be critical of it at the end of the day, because he did that with Drakengard, and he did that with the Nier series, and he actually did do it to some extent with Nier Automata. You can absolutely enjoy something and still be critical of it, and I don't even think it takes away from it that much. I think it's fairly honest, honestly, rather than thinking, oh, you're above it. It's like, oh, this person has the same interest, but he's still able to have a mind about things, you know?
Yeah.
I want to, and I have different points. He picks costumes that show off, and I don't think that it's really fair to show, at least in the case of Pyra. Pyra's outfit isn't a swimsuit; it's her normal battle outfit with scarves.
You've never heard of leotards?
Yeah, in that particular thing, it was the swimsuit. But in the there's a difference between the normal design and the swimsuit design. I'd actually say that the normal design actually makes your breast look bigger.
Well, there's more armor over it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that would have actually been a better of an example than the swimsuits. But he's about to get into the swimsuit, so I think
I just want to put out there that this entire discussion started because of 2B's ass. It is actually the deepest thing in the universe.
It's pretty deep.
It's thought-provoking. The ass is not only great, it's thought-provoking.
Yeah. Alright,
get out, shines.
Will not be wearing pants at times, and honestly, I'd be more surprised to see games without swimsuit DLC.
Again, so he's tying it back to, like, again, the Pyra swimsuit to this swimsuit. It's like, what's the problem though with swimsuits? Why are swimsuits inherently lewd?
In particular, he's talking about DLC as well, right?
Yeah.
DLC is something that is completely optional with the game and not something that the person is going to see. So why is that even relevant to this conversation?
Yeah, it's you don't have to buy the swimsuit DLC.
You have 2 layers of opting in to get the swimsuit.
Yeah, and why are swimsuits inherently lewd?
Because sex bad.
Apparently sex bad. Yeah, skin is bad, and I find it really weird because when I look at the swimsuits, I don't initially like go, "Oh, look, it's lewd. Oh, she's wearing less clothes." It's like, no, it's a swimsuit. Like, which is weird, as me being Noretsu the perv, right? Like, it's really weird for me to say that, but I think that it actually says more about someone else if they look at a girl in a swimsuit and immediately go, "Oh wow, she must be a fucking slut. Holy shit!" You know, like.
I mean, we've all been to a beach at one point in our lives. I'm going to assume that much. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't just immediately crack a fat one every time a woman walks by, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, I think
stuttered there for a second.
Oh no, but no, I think it says more about the person in general if they immediately jump. Like, you see this a lot actually, right? Where people will immediately jump to things being lewd or sexual or whatever when they might not be. I think it says more about them than it does the actual content itself.
I think it's a little bit of a cheap argument, but
it is, but it's also a funny argument because you can actually see them. Like it's better when you're actually in person.
They get really annoyed when you make that argument, like because they know.
If I could bring something up, go watch. It was with the Public House or Morals Committee back in the 80s with the whole when rap was the thing, and suddenly Tipper Gore and Tipper Gore was kind of the head of this whole like I guess new parenting movement that was absolutely offended by the depravity of NWA because they couldn't handle the sheer fire that was Ice-T and Eazy-E. But I forget what it was. I think it was one of the guitarists for like Motley Crue actually went to the hearing, went in his stage attire, and more or less in his interview with Tipper Gore suggested that it was her that had a dirty mind and that's why she had a negative reaction. And the look on her face was priceless, and I would suggest watching that. You wouldn't believe how much a face could tell about a person. She gets so upset about it because her purity is questioned.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it is the Puritan's purity that becomes the question, doesn't it? And I think you're right that it is a bit of a cheap argument, but it's a very, I think there is a nugget of truth, right?
That's what makes it funny. All good jokes have a nugget of truth.
Yeah.
I mean, just to give more, how do you say, devil's advocate or something, in those, if there's some scene attached to the swimsuit, it usually shows off the girl's body.
Yeah,
almost all of the time.
Yeah, swimsuits tend to do
like
that.
they're a little bit
swimsuits.
They're embarrassed. They hide themselves for a bit, and they go, "No, you look good, Spyra."
That's
that
less
kind of
that's less sexual fan service in that instance, and that's actually more like moe fan service. It's a personal thing. It shows off the cuteness of the character rather than the sexual nature of it.
Well, yeah, but it still shows off that there's something attractive about them, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I think we've exhausted this point for a bit now.
Yeah, alright, let's continue.
This day and age when it comes to JRPGs. So I think unquestionably JRPGs are getting pretty lewd. But let's take a look at some games that tackle these types of themes in interesting ways. Now, the first game I want to talk about is Persona 5. Now, in that game, it opens up, or early on in the game, it shows on getting in the...
Yeah, Persona 5 is like the go-to for this kind of...
It's the most base... At this point, I can say that Persona 5 has actually surpassed Final Fantasy 7 in being the most basic bitch JRPG.
I haven't even played it yet.
I haven't either. But I could probably write an entire essay because people won't shut the fuck up about it. I like the Persona games too, but I'm also annoyed.
I haven't played either. Yeah, either 7 or 4, 5.
Let's see, because he's making the point about how they tackle sensitive issues. So let's see how they do it.
Par with Kamoshida, the volleyball coach, and you're like, is this coach dating one of his students? And one of On's friends, Shiho, is also on the volleyball team. It's heavily implied that she was raped by Kamoshida. They never...
Is he actually comparing basic fan service with a serious discussion about teenage prostitution? Like, he's comparing basic fan service with a criminal act.
That's handled very seriously.
I'm not even I'm not even talking about his argument at this point. At this point, that is very telling about his views on sexuality and honestly how kind of fucking warped it is.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree there. I think that basic bitch fan service, swimsuits, big titties, that kind of thing, thick thighs. I don't think that's the same kind of thing as let's.
Does he go to the beach and think to himself, "Oh, there's a lot of teenage prostitution here"?
Oh my god, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think it's on the same level as a serious plot about, a teenager giving up, essentially giving themselves up to protect a friend. Because I watched a bit of the Persona 5 anime, and like that was the plot of this sort of arc, is that the friend is trying to, like, the blonde chick is trying to protect the ponytail chick from the dude by dating the dude, right? That's kind of the plot of it, and we're gonna get to some interesting stuff in a minute. But so let's continue.
Never really come out and say it, but it's pretty heavily implied. And then at one point, she jumps off the roof of the school and tries to commit suicide. I remember audibly gasping when that happened. I was like, "Oh my god, Persona 5 is going there." I never thought that they would lean into something like that so hard. And even in his palace, like, it shows Ann in a bikini, so like it could be seen as sensitive a material, and it certainly is.
Wait, no, now that he just confirmed it, Ann is in a bikini, so it could be seen as sensitive.
Yeah.
Well, we have to look at it in the context.
Well, a girl throwing herself off of a building is perfectly fine and acceptable and accessible to anybody, but if you put her in a bikini, holy shit.
Well,
then it becomes sensitive.
Yeah, and let's think about this for a minute, right?
You subscribe to this guy.
If we're making the argument, right, that this fan service and this stuff, right, is going to, it needs to be toned down in order to, appease the masses or whatever. If that is the argument he is making here, right, then wouldn't if that was true and they toned down all of this stuff in Persona 5, wouldn't that make this whole thing worse because it's not as impactful? Like, what if she didn't jump off the roof? What if she didn't jump off the roof because, showing suicide and talking about suicide and depression and that stuff is a sensitive topic, and we can't have that in our Japanese RPGs,
it's
right?
I think it's more of the reverse. That, I'm a bit annoyed that he maybe
I don't even think he's talking about, like, in the reverse. I think he's like just pointing out that these are serious topics being covered.
No, because I was wondering what he meant by sensitive this entire time, but now he says because Ann is in a bikini, it's sensitive. That just means to me that he says that anything sexual is sensitive. So retroactively, every game with lewd fan service is sensitive. So it's more of that. Although there's too many games that are sensitive,
killing yourself isn't a sensitive topic, though.
They should be all less sensitive.
Right. Okay. But the thing is, like I said, if they toned all of that down, then it would be less impactful, wouldn't it?
Well, but Persona is fine because it treats the sensitive things with a delicacy, while the other sensitive things are just thrown about willy-nilly, and that's bad because you need to treat sensitive stuff sensitively.
Right.
I mean, that is entirely a subjective. Because you could easily just do the daytime drama thing and just say, "Oh, she jumped off the building," like off screen. And you could say, "Oh, well, that's still the same story content," but it does make it less impactful. I would say that this scene right here is also more impactful. In my, this is entirely a subjective opinion, given what they're wearing right now, because it turns the fan servicey aspects on its head.
Yeah, and also, as I said before we got into this, is the context of the scene.
He doesn't care about the context, let's be honest.
Yeah, but the context here is vastly different to, like, a swimsuit DLC. Like, if we think about, like, it's like a typical swimsuit DLC. It's usually along the lines of all the characters go to a beach, they have some fun times, they put on some swimsuits, there's some ha ha ha, I'm embarrassed. Yeah, as we said, like there's that, there's oh you look really hard, oh I'm embarrassed because you look, it's playful, it's fun, there's all that kind of thing. But then you look at this, and it's a completely different context.
Look,
right?
It's exactly the same. He sees it as exactly the same. Children
Apparently.
playing at the beach and whoring yourself out to protect a friend. Same shit.
Yeah, apparently. And if you know about Persona 5, that this is like inside the dude's head. This is what he thinks. This is what he perceives himself / her as. So again, it adds that layer of context to it that I think is missing, right? Like there's a vast difference between big titty fan service and something like this, as we mentioned before. And I feel like comparing the two is kind of like comparing apples to oranges a little bit, right? So yeah, let's keep going.
But at least it tackles it in an interesting way. It's showing like, hey, what happens when these types of things comes up? How does it affect people, and how do people deal with it? I just thought that was the strongest palace in the whole game from a storytelling perspective.
And then to continue, is getting more and more annoying.
Yeah, I don't like that, but it's you can't read the text of the characters talking and stuff, and it doesn't really, really work.
Well, Persona fans must really like teenage prostitution.
Apparently.
In 2 games already.
Yeah. Well, let's see his explanation for this one.
On with Persona, let's talk about Rise. Now, Rise is the pop idol from the game. She's very bubbly, very flirtatious, and in her dungeon, she appears like she's wearing a bikini, and she's dressed all sexy, and she even says, "Oh, I'm gonna take it all off." And her shadow boss at the end of the dungeon is a pole dancer, so it's very, sexually suggestive. The whole dungeon, her character, everything. But really what it comes down to, she's like, if I can be more sexy, I might be able to get more fans and get more friends. But really, what's neat about that is that the investigation team, they don't even care about any of that. They just want to be her friend, and she comes to find like true friendship, and I think that's a really awesome thing. She comes to grips with that, faces it, and then is able to have a really awesome resolution. So I really think Persona 4 and 5 tackle sensitive subjects like that in an interesting way without being.
Alright, so they're tackling, first of all, I'm still just kind of blown the fuck away that he thinks that any form of even slight skin is a sensitive subject that needs to be tackled in the utmost seriousness. But the goals of actually Ariza and this right here are entirely different in tone. You're not going to get a incredibly dark and depressing tackling of or deconstruction or whatever, or I guess what they probably think is something like that. Yeah, you're not going to get a perfect blue scenario in like Atelier Ryza. Like their goals as a game are different.
Yeah, again, it's comparing apples to oranges. It's not the same. It's just not the same.
And if things are too lewd, or if people are so sensitive that a simple beach scene would completely turn them off from an otherwise great game, if they have that much personal baggage, do you think they're going to approve of scenes like this that take it to its utmost extreme?
That arguably would probably be more traumatic if it was like a similar, like if that same person
what
had
they
been
consider
through a similar
traumatic
scenario. Yeah, exactly. But like, let's say, like for instance, someone had experienced the same kind of like idol culture type stuff as this character, and they watch this and it like deeply impacts them, right? Like again, it's. I can't agree with him here. I just think that yes, these things tackle the subjects, right? But it's just not the same as ecchi fan service. Yeah. It's not.
And we can definitely say that this scene right here, stuff like this, is not for everyone.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah, no, it is not for everyone. But I mean, he's suggesting the same thing as to everything else, right? That it needs to not be for a specific audience. It needs to be for everyone or more wider in scope.
Yeah, just to give another example, he just says that you got your Call of Duty, or maybe even Team Fortress 2, and then he says, well, every game should be like Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah, every shooter needs to be like Spec Ops.
Yeah, every shooter should analyze its violence and its consequences Spec Ops Line did.
Yeah, you need to deconstruct war and violence in every single Call of Duty game. It has to be that you have to. That reminds me of extra credits and the Nazi bullshit. You have to always bash into people's skulls. Nazi bad, Nazi bad, Nazi bad.
Postal 2 would have been immensely more satisfying if every time I shoved the cat on the end of a gun and used it as a silencer, it gave me a lecture on animal abuse.
Yeah. It just comes up with a giant wall of text that just says animal abuse wrong like 500 times, right?
Yeah, we know this. That's why we're playing a video game.
It transforms you into the cat, and then you experience the cat's perspective, and then after the horrible deed of being horribly abused is done, you suddenly go back into your human
That would be
form,
funny because
now you have experienced your own horrible acts.
That would be funny as fuck because in
Can
Postal
you still
2,
live with yourself?
Yeah, in Postal 2, when you fire the cat silencer enough, they fly off and explode. So from a first-person perspective, that would be really fucking funny.
It would. So yeah, we're getting close to an interesting bit. So let's continue.
Overly sexual just for the sake of doing it. But another question I want to ask is, why are games more lewd? Why even do it? I mean, the obvious answer is sex sells, right? Like, if there's a game and there's a sexy girl on it, of course people are more likely to buy that game. And look, I'm as guilty as anybody, right? Like, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm a self-proclaimed waifu fan. I tweet about that stuff all the time. So trust me, I'm as guilty as anybody. I'm definitely part of the problem when it comes to that.
We can tell you're guilty. You don't even have to say that. We can tell you feel really damn guilty.
I mean,
boy.
Look at the image he chose for that box on the bottom.
I mean, I could just be listening to this, and I could tell he feels guilty about, thinking of committing the crime that, thinking women are attractive. But so
right.
he says,
I mean, that slime looks pretty attractive.
Yeah, I'll let you guys go. Yeah.
You have a slime fetish. That's really lit, my man. But yeah, no. So I mean, yeah, I hate the whole argument of, oh, well, sex sells, that's why they do it. It's like, yeah, of course it does. Serious subjects sell. Like, Persona 5 did fucking fantastic.
Yeah, controversy also sells.
People, well. Fucking video game donkey. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I'm gonna bring it up. He loved that game, and he fucking hates JRPGs. So, like, serious subjects sell. There's definitely still a market for that, and there's definitely still people producing games like that, because Atlas produced the game that he talked about in this video. What's the problem?
Yeah, I mean, I play Noita, and Noita is Finnish for witch, and that sprite sure is attractive, though.
All right.
And I mean, people apparently got over their stigma of JRPGs to play Persona 5.
Yeah. So we're about to get into a very interesting point, and this was the point in the video where, when I was watching it, I was like, we have to do a video on this. This statement that he's about to make, and the argument that he is about to make at this point, was what pushed me to actually comment. Like, I don't comment on YouTube videos often.
Let's not pause during this segment. Let's let him.
I'm gonna say that. I want you guys to listen to his whole argument, and then we're gonna dissect it and maybe talk about my comment, right? Because it's very rare that I hear someone say something and I go, yeah, no, I have to respond to this, because it was just that nuts to me. So from about 7:55 onwards, we're going to get into it. So let's listen.
Type of thing. But my bigger concern is, if over-sexualizing characters in JRPGs and in Japanese games in general is turning people away from these types of games, I would just rather not have it. I mean, there are plenty of JRPG characters that are attractive and they have cool outfits and they're still beautiful, but they don't have to be wearing these extremely revealing clothing. And at the end of the day, with this channel and with my Twitter account, all I want more people to be playing these games. I want people to be playing JRPGs and cool, interesting Japanese games because they're so different from Western games. They look at things from a different perspective. It's really unique, and I really love that. These games are really dear to my heart, and if we have to sacrifice some sexily dressed characters to get more people playing them, then you know what? I feel like I'm for that. I would do it reluctantly because, of course, like I said, I'm part of the problem. I enjoy that stuff, but if it's turning people away, let's maybe tone it back a little bit, and let's see if we can't get more people playing these games. So that's just my opinion, guys.
Okay.
How many times did you want to scream during that entire statement?
I wanted to fucking strangle this dude through the monitor.
Let's break this down.
Yeah, I honestly, let's go. Because I was
section by section.
I was really, really mad. Like, because the rest of the video, I was like, yeah, this is kind of
Ellie, I know you like to keep these things shorter, but we're gonna have to long man this.
Yeah,
shit.
we're going in on this one because I was like I'll just start right and say that my experience watching this video was I was watching it and I was going, okay, I don't necessarily agree with him here. Again, as I've been saying throughout this, right, it's like, okay, he's making some really weird points here. He's kind of comparing apples to oranges. I'm not too sure, but then he says what he says here, right? And I'm just like, woo, lad. So let's begin. Let's begin the dissection.
Japanese games in general is turning people away from these types of games. I would just rather not have it. I mean, there are plenty of JRPG.
Okay, so his opening statement is, if these sexual fan servicey type elements are turning people away, he would rather not have it. Right?
First of all, and this is going to be a very subjective take from on my part, it is a very cuck stance, if I may say the phrase. You are actively depriving yourself of something you admit you like because other people may not like it. Have a little bit of an ego. Like, I'm not even asking for a lot. Have a little bit. Stand up even slightly for things you like.
Yeah, I'm... Like,
and that can apply that can apply to anything, because you could even say it for violent games. Like, I could say, oh shit, fucking, what do I have installed that's really violent right now? Soldier of Fortune. I could say, well, I mean, maybe Soldier of Fortune should have turned down the hyper violence, because clearly, that would have gotten more people playing it. Nobody would remember it. I have
a lot to say, but I want to save the comment that I made for a little bit. Like, there's more to kind of dig in on this, right? But that opening statement was what really made my eyes pop out of my head. I was like, are you seriously suggesting that you are perfectly okay with removing one of the key elements that makes something that you enjoy a thing that you enjoy for the sake of bringing in more people? Are you actually saying that? Because what I say this in my comment.
The fucked up thing is that
I'll let you go.
Yeah, the fucked up thing, that's not the most offensive thing, or that's not the most dumb thing he has said in that statement. There's a point later I'm absolutely going to have to tear into, but...
Yeah, alright, I'll let it go, because I'll get into my comments on what I said in that later.
I'll be contrary and say I don't think this statement by itself is really that... I can say not very much about it, but later he lays out his reasons, and I can comment more on those reasons.
Right. Alright, let's continue for a little bit.
Characters that are attractive and they have cool outfits and they're still beautiful, but they don't have to be wearing these extremely revealing clothing. And at the end of the day, with this...
He said that there's plenty of characters that do that. So clearly it's not as big of a
Well,
he said...
No, I missed it also on the first time. He says there are plenty of characters who are attractive but don't need swimsuits or other clothing.
The way I'm hearing this from is that there are plenty of characters that are attractive and don't wear these revealing clothes, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
So you're saying there isn't that big of a problem?
There's Ryza. Ryza isn't wearing revealing clothes.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, right? Is that Like, what is he actually talking about? Because we've already established that that swimsuit DLC and sexy outfit DLC is DLC. It is optional content. It's not in the game natively, right? And then you have like I would like to see some examples of what he means by characters that are the opposite of what he's talking about. Right, because he's saying, "Oh, there are plenty of characters that are,
Well,
attractive."
she's showing the small of her back right now, so she's a total slut.
Yeah, I don't understand what he's talking about here. Like, what characters do you mean? Do you mean like characters in Disgaea that show a lot of skin? Is that too lewd, or is like what I need to see an example of what you're talking about here.
The Pokemon trainers that don't show a lot of skin but are still lewd all the time.
Yeah, I'm like that part of it just confused me, because I'm like, okay, so there's plenty of characters. It's like Lolly just said. How is it a problem then? If there's plenty of characters that are attractive and are not just like wearing bloody pasties, right? Then what are you talking about?
A girl wearing hot pants is the equivalent of wearing pasties, duh. And he, as a reviewer, probably thinks he should be able to do whatever the fuck he wants with them.
Well, here's the thing. What game specifically is he talking about? Is he talking about Senran Kagura? Is he talking about Valkyrie Drive?
I think he's just talking about Rise right here. That's why he's using the example. So it brought up this conversation.
But but this is what I mean, right? Like, if he's going to say that these are a problem, you have to lay out what the problem actually is, and he hasn't done that. He's just said, oh, well, there's plenty of things that are not a problem, but apparently there's still a problem, and I want to tone it down. And it's like, what? But anyway, let's keep going.
Channel and with my Twitter account, all I want more people to be playing these games. I want people to be playing JRPGs and cool, interesting Japanese games, because they're so different.
So, he's going to another point, but the first point, he wants more to have more people playing RPGs. But then, of course, Altair Ryza has massively increased its sales.
Yeah, it's kind of contradictory a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
At least in this example.
He's saying that he's okay with toning down the sexual content.
This comes later on.
Well, yeah, but like overall, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying that he's okay with toning down the sexual content if it means more people play it. But we have an example right here where the fact that the character design was attractive to so many people has caused more people to play the game. So, isn't what he says again? What he's suggesting to do is actually going to run counter to what he wants, because if you remove like a core element of what makes these games these games what they are, which is what I get into in my YouTube comment, right? Like, if you remove that, then they're no longer the thing that you liked in the first place, and they're no longer the thing that people came for in the first place, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like one of the key reasons I like Japanese content and Japanese media is because they have a higher willingness to be more open about sexually suggestive content and explore themes like the stuff in Persona 5 and Persona 4.
So this
right?
is the next point. At least, Lolly, you have something to say.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just going to say that the people who started play, or the increase of people who played Ryza, those were just, straight men, bisexuals, and lesbians, and those don't count as people. He wants women who aren't attracted to women. Women who are attracted to women are basically men.
Right. So let's keep going.
From Western games, they look at things from a different perspective. It's really
Once
unique.
Again.
Yeah.
So
we have the same point. I can feel it already.
Yes. So, Ellie, would you say that looking at things or things like fan service and being more open about sexuality, that's a way that the Japanese look at things through their own cultural lens, I'll use that phrase, and it's what makes things more interesting or unique to us in the West, right?
Do you mean that the Japanese already have a different perspective?
Yeah. Oh.
The horror.
Crazy.
Holy shit.
what he's suggesting, I would actually go as far as to say that it would remove their unique perspective by ignoring parts of their culture that are open to pander to a more, mainstream Western audience. There's a phrase that a lot of people that are on his
Aren't
camp,
you saying that? Are you claiming that there is some colonization, appropriation of culture going on?
There's just
here?
a little bit of cultural imperialism going on. We're just kind of rubbing off our little our Puritan sentiment.
Going to interfere and dictate another country's culture.
Yeah, I wonder. They're actually. I know for a fact that's not what he is trying to imply, but it very much sounds like it.
It's not what he's trying to imply, but it is exactly what he is suggesting, whether he realizes or not. Here's the thing: I'm actually going to go as far as to say that most people who bitch about these things probably don't understand the implications of what they're doing. They see a thing and they immediately knee-jerk react. I hate thing needs to go. It's a very human thing.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's weird because he literally said that he likes this kind of content, that he's as guilty of it. And again, it's the way that he speaks about it, right? He's just as guilty, right? Like, I feel like you're spot on the money where he feels this level of guilt for liking this kind of content, and he feels like he needs to kind of prostigate a little bit and do the whole fucking amazing atheist, I'm sorry for being a white man, like that kind of thing. Like, I'm sorry I like fan service. I'm sorry, like that. It really feels like he's going down that road. And
he already said it before. He's part of the problem. He views this as a problem.
He views it as a problem, right? But that's the thing. If you view it as part of the problem, why are you trying to remove something that you enjoy, right? I don't understand this mentality at all. I can't get it. Because his end goal, from what he's saying, is that he wants more people to play the games. That's a noble goal. That's fine, right? I don't have a problem with that. However, there are ways to get more people into the games that don't involve changing one of the core aspects, cultural aspects, that make these games appeal to people in the first place. And the way that you do that is you find people that would enjoy it instead of trying to change it for people that already don't.
Yeah,
right?
Expose it to people who already share that sentiment or may have a burgeoning sentiment in that. This is how all niches grow. Now imagine, for example, if you were trying to pitch a action movie, let's say Hard Boiled, it's a classic of Hong Kong cinema. Now, if you're trying to pitch that to somebody who values military realism, would you be able to do it? Absolutely not, because the way they use guns in that game, they sometimes forget shit like ammo counts. It is not at all realistic. You would not be able to pitch it to that person. So, but would that movie be made better by adding realism to it? I would honestly say no, because it removes it from its aesthetic and it removes it from the niche it carves out in the greater culture of things.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think that's a big problem here. Is definitely that aspect. So let's see the final bit and then we'll keep going.
I really love that. These games are really dear to my heart, and if we have to sacrifice some sexily dressed characters to get more people playing them, then you know what? I feel like I'm for that. I would do it reluctantly because, of course,
again, it makes me so fucking
mad. This is the second time he's saying it, but we already proved with facts and logic that it's a good character design, which can be eluded or not. It will be far more effective at getting more people than removing what essentially is just.
It's just when he's
design.
Like, I just hate when he's going, oh, these things are dear to my heart, right? I love these things so much, I really, really like these things. And then he just goes, if sacrificing a bit of scantily clad characters means more people would enjoy it, then I'd be okay with that. I'm just like, how the fuck do you call yourself a fan?
It's not even that. It's like, okay, he also just assumes that by removing types of fan service he views as a problem. Things like, what is experienced in Persona 4, which had a swimsuit during that pole dance scene, an incredibly graphic pole dance scene, is going to survive that type of environment. It will not.
Yeah,
because people who are bothered by things like swimsuits or sexually clad characters are going to have problems with it regardless of context 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I make this point in my comment. I say, where do you draw the line, right? Nudity in games, ban it. Can't have it. Sexy can never be good. Swimsuits, that's sexually suggestive. Get rid of it.
No, it's sensitive.
Covering, sexually suggestive / sensitive, whatever. Get rid of it, right? Covering adult topics such as sexual violence and rape. Nope, can't have that. That might offend someone, right? Like, where do you actually draw the line in your quest to get more people? And I make the point that this is the exact mentality that ruined Western game development. This mentality, the mentality of we have to appeal to as wider audience as possible. We have to make things so boiled down, so easy, so just milquetoast.
It's disingenuous to the human experience, and the entire point of art is to portray the human experience to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if maybe I'm being rude by cutting this off, but if you would play just a little bit further, I believe.
Okay, no, that's fine. Let's keep going.
Like I said, I'm part of the problem. I enjoy that stuff, but if it's turning people away, let's maybe tone it back a little bit, and let's see if we can't get more people playing these games. So that's just my opinion, guys. I am super curious to hear.
So, what I read in this what he's saying here is, all right, I think this is a problem. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's a bit of virtue signaling almost.
He's trying to play both sides basically. He knows that if he was to hard suggest a solution, it would piss off a solution, air quotes, to the problem, air quotes, it would piss off his fan base. Again, he's actually kind of portraying how annoying it is when something is milquetoast and washed of any extreme position, because he has no position. This is the annoying centrist tactic.
Yeah, I agree. But and as I was saying before, right, it's like, where did you draw the line? Like, he's saying tone it down a little. Like, what do you mean?
Also,
how
he
toned
says
down?
He says
Yeah.
What he's saying, that the reason they need to tone this down is that because it's going to drive people away. Anything can drive somebody away if they don't like it.
Exactly, and that's what I was getting through in my comment. It's like, how do you, like
shall we pull up the comments?
Yeah, we'll pull it up and I'll read it for you. But like, where do you draw the line, right? How much of the thing that you love do you have to butcher because you want more people? Because as soon as you're done with the sexual content, you're going to move on to violence. Oh, that's too violent. It's turning people away. We have to get rid of it. Oh, no, there's male characters. That turns female characters away. We have to have more female characters. Such and such and such.
The comment is on screen, so you can read it.
All right, let me read it. So I made this comment shortly after watching. Like, I watched the whole thing through, and then I made the comment, right? I didn't just start commenting like halfway through making his point. I made sure to listen to his whole point, and then I made my comment. So my comment is, your statement at 7:55 is very concerning to me, and I heavily disagree with the idea we should / need to tone down content to appeal to more people. This is the exact line of thinking that has ruined the Western AAA gaming market for me. The idea that games need to be made specifically to appeal to as wide an audience as possible rather than their own niches. I can understand wanting more people to enjoy the same things we enjoy, and introducing more people to the medium is good. But not everything needs to be for everyone, and I will never agree with sacrificing a core element of what makes Japanese games unique, brackets, their willingness to be more open about sexually suggestive content and media, bracket, will in the faint hope it will allow more people to enjoy it. We should not be changing something that makes what we love what it is. This path only leads to censorship. And I know this is a slippery slope argument, but I think the concern is valid, as where do we draw the line here? Nudity in games? Ban it, can't have that. Sexy can never be good. Swimsuit, too sexually suggestive, get rid of that. Covering adult topics such as sexual violence and rape, can't have that, might offend someone, and so on and so on. It snowballs, and is what happens when you give in to people like the dude you showed on Twitter. He is most likely someone who would never be into or like these types of games in the first place if his comments are anything to go by. So why should we change something so many people enjoy just to cater to him and people like him? It makes no sense to me why we need to destroy something that makes what we love different when everything else different than everything else just because some people don't like it. Not everyone is going to like anime games even after we make these changes, so we would just have to keep making more until it's no longer what we love in the first place. It's been tried in Western gaming and we have seen the results, and I don't want the same thing to happen here. So, are JRPGs becoming too lewd? My answer is no. They have always been lewd and should continue to be lewd, and we should not change it to draw in more people. We should find people who would be into it and introduce them to it, not try to cater to people who already don't like it for what it is. That was my comment.
Yeah. No, that's mostly my opinion, yeah.
Yeah. And someone replied to that, with another person replied to that saying, well said, since not all games have to fit the global standard, there are people who will enjoy the game, and changing it to get more people is over. I think he meant isn't, but it's YouTube, so spelling mistakes are common. Overall, best idea. Also, yes, I agree that JRPGs are not that lewd. Not to mention there is no full sex scenes in them, unlike a select through Western RPGs. Two words come to mind: double standards. I agree with that. I think there is a double standard here. Which I'll get into in a minute. But the actual uploader, the Gaming Shelf himself, responded to that guy saying, shared an interesting story about someone not wanting to play Wise 8 because of a lewd scene early in the game when the rest of the game doesn't have it. They would have enjoyed and been willing to play if not for that one scene. Those are mainly the type of scenarios I'm talking about. And then that person replied with, well, if the scene is a minor one, as you mentioned in the video and in this comment, shouldn't it be fine, since there are people who would be fine with it, while all the people who aren't know what they like, and hopefully it's a bit fucking
internet
autistic.
Comments.
Yeah, it goes down the chain.
But the general sentiment is basically right. Like my answer to Gaming Shelf's comment right there would be, okay, so if it's just one scene, then why not just have them skip the scene? Just let them skip it. Like or have them just like know when the scene's about to come up.
Just play a different game. There is an entire market dedicated, if you are too much of a Nancy, to look at one loot scene. If it offends you that much that it can ruin an otherwise 40 to 50 hour RPG, first of all, they're probably going to find something else that's objectionable if that's enough to turn them off from it. I mean, shit, there are many minor elements to a game that that can be a mark against it. No game is perfect, but do you discard the entire experience because you find one aspect of it flawed?
Hell, I'm playing modded Fallout 4 right now, in despite of the fact it crashes every fucking 10 minutes and is a pain in the ass, right? I wouldn't be fucking playing it if there wasn't something there that I'm enjoying, right?
No.
I'm playing it in spite of its flaws, right?
And I'm going to also ask him this. There are many, many people, especially in the US, that have, throughout the history of video games, have detested the amount of violence in games rated towards an older audience, suggesting that it needs to be toned down because children could play these games. And have throughout the history have tried to actively change that, do they get a say? Because it can't just be a sex thing. If the idea is to not turn people off, you would have to go to a violence. What if somebody doesn't like violence? My grandmother just doesn't like violence. Should games tone down because she might want to be able to otherwise play Call of Duty? No.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to what I was saying. Like, where do you draw the line? Where do we stop making changes?
Here's a better suggestion. Most people can get over that. Don't, not everybody is the whiny motherfucker that can't handle one or two or jiggling boob or one or two headshots. Most people, even if they don't like something, can largely get over it. They are going to have an immediate disconnect to something. Why change it? Why not just tell that person to get over it?
Yeah. And telling them to get over it, perhaps maybe it will help them, understand it a bit better if they just actually experience it and maybe try to understand rather than just not engaging at all.
We're gonna say, we sit here, we definitely discuss and we definitely care about an artistic medium, but at the end of the day, it is just an entertainment medium. Get the fuck over it.
Yeah. So let's No,
because it drives me. I'm going a little bit of
No, go, just rant.
It drives me.
Be free.
It drives me fucking nuts that time. You have all of these people who argue about all of these things that offend them in media as if it is the single most important fucking thing in the world. I don't know why. Maybe because they have no lives outside of media. But it is not the end-all be-all of human existence. You can get over it. Just like everybody gets over something that discomforts them in some slight way at some point. You're not owed shit by other people who are making something. You're approaching them, you're paying them money, you're opting into fucking everything. You have the option at every step to walk away if something discomforts you, and that is perfectly fine. Fuck off if you don't like it, but don't expect somebody to cater to him. And quite frankly, to this guy, he should be ashamed of himself for suggesting this right now. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was so mad about it, because I'm like, I can't understand.
Why does he, shit, I mean, the girl who doesn't like the sex scene isn't going to put it out for you, man. Just walk the fuck away.
Well, look, it's like I said, I don't understand how you can call yourself a fan and suggest this. I don't understand how you can call yourself a fan of something and go, I want to fundamentally change a massive cultural aspect of what makes these games what makes these games what they are, right? Like I can understand I can understand wanting to change little things.
I can't see how you can
call
yourself a likable person if you expect the world to bend at the knee for you.
I sense maybe not misplaced, maybe I see it wrong. Something of a fear of not being accepted in the mainstream, and another of that if this generation of fan dies off, there will be nobody left to enjoy these types of game after we are gone. So best to tone it all down in the hopes that the next generation would keep this culture somewhat alive.
And I think that's completely ridiculous.
All cultures die.
Yeah, it is.
All cultures die.
It's completely ridiculous because that, and also how JRPGs have been a thing since video games have been a thing, and they have been constantly been evolving, and new fans have come and gone. Like, it's that idea of, well, the old fans are going to die off. Then no one's going to be like, that's not going to happen.
Well, this is my speculation.
Yeah, I know it's yours. I know you're not advocating for that, and it's speculation. But I'm saying that to that speculation, I think that, if that is what his fear is, then I think that's patently ridiculous. I think that new fans will always come, right? I think that new people will always find, eventually, and I think it's more important to help find those people, right? Rather than trying to bring in everyone, we need to find the specific people that we know would be into this thing and bring them into it. Rather than try and cast the bride net, we need to cast out the fishing lure, right? I think that is a much more a better way to do things than toning everything down for the sake of the mythical wider audience. And I'm going to have my own rant now, right? Because I'm fucking tired of this mythical thing called the wider audience. And I talk about how Western gaming has suffered from this. And the best example of this is fucking Bethesda, right? Where you have game after game, right? You look at Fallout 3 and Skyrim and all that, they are vastly less complicated than Oblivion or the past games, right?
Morrowind.
And then
best game.
Morrowind, yeah, exactly. Like, you look at Morrowind, and then you look at Oblivion, and then you look at Skyrim, and then you'll look at whatever the next one's going to be, right? Every single one that's come out, they have simplified things, they have dumbed things down, they have removed things, they have made things less complicated, and all of this is done in the want to get this wider audience, right? And in the process of doing so, they have basically killed what makes these games popular, you know, what makes these games appealing. And the greatest example, because, and I know it ties into Fallout 4 again, and I've been ranting about Fallout 4 recently, but it's because I've been playing it. The biggest example of this is Fallout 4. You look at, I know New Vegas is developed by Obsidian and it's a different game company, but you look at New Vegas and you look at the complexity in everything in New Vegas, the skill system, the dialogue, how you can have these really intricate conversations with people. And then you look at Fallout 4 and you get 4 choices. You don't get an option to say no. You get an option to say no, but maybe later. You get a sarcastic option. You get a yes, and you get a, maybe one other option, right? And like, you look at how they've dumbed that down and simplified it to try and appeal to and it's because they're trying to appeal to a wider audience, right? And you look at this, and this is a trend that we've been seeing in all AAA games. They have been constantly taking things and dumbing them down and making them more simple. And I think it's completely killed the market. It's completely killed all these games. Because if you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. Because there's no complexity there. There's no hook to get people in. Right?
And then suddenly you don't stand out from anything else, and everyone else already has something else to play. It's in the short term. It can in the short term, yeah, sure. Because let's face it, Fallout unfortunately sold way too fucking much for a game of such lackluster quality. But
I think that's Mass Effect is a better example because it's a very clear path.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Mass Effect 1 was very RPG. It was very complicated. It had, the gunplay was a bit meh, but like, again, it was fine.
I mean, I like the ammo. It was proper sci-fi, the ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you go to Mass Effect 2, and they toned down the RPG
got
completely.
Ammo.
Yeah. And then it got ammo, and then they changed a bunch of stuff, and and you can see it. You can see how they've tried to make it more appealing.
And I kept going with that, and by 3 happened, and then with Andromeda, their goodwill was basically used up. Like, nobody was looking forward to Andromeda. Everybody thought it was going to be a boring shit show. And
it turned out to be a boring shit show.
Yeah. So
and that's what I'm worried about here. That's why I say that I find this sentiment from this guy disturbing, right, and concerning, because I don't want to see Japanese RPGs or Japanese games in general go down that same path of wanting to appeal to everyone. I think this is why indie games are doing so well right now, because indies know that what they should be doing is targeting specific niches and audiences with their games. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a niche title that is specifically targeted for a niche market of people, right?
Yeah.
It's not trying to be an easy game for everyone to enjoy. And
it's targeting a market that is willing to put up with actual endemic jank of the system specifically because they like that experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to see more of that. I want to see more games come out that are targeting a very specific subgroup and niche. And I think that those games can exist, and there is the micro markets for these games that are not being catered to because everyone's just so focused on, oh, we need to get the big numbers. We need to sell billions of copies, and the game is not successful if it doesn't sell X millions amount of dollars, and we're spending all of this money making these games and pumping all of this development time and buying hundreds of developers and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, one of the most critically acclaimed games that came out within the last 10 years was fucking Undertale, and that was made by one guy on like $15,000 from Kickstarter, right? Or some shit like that, right? Like, you don't need all of this shit. You just need to make a good game.
Okay,
does it need to fucking...
This is really petty, like, from a personal standpoint, so forgive me, but do you see on the bottom right the Phantasy Star Online 2 reaction?
On what?
On more videos, yeah, on Watch Together.
This personalized and
yeah,
such,
yeah, I don't see
Look,
that.
oh, okay. Well, for me, it's showing his reaction, like his actual face, and he's making the soy face. You know it. You know what the face looks like. He's making that.
Yeah. But so
that was petty as fuck. But I had to point it out. I couldn't just.
Okay,
I've been staring at it for the last several minutes.
Since we've got just a tiny little bit of the video left, let's see if he's actually ending here, right? And then if he does, then we can kind of segue into anything else we want to talk about.
His open mouth is like a black hole of madness. I'm staring into the abyss, and it stares back.
Oh god! All right, let's go.
What you think, because this was sort of a divisive subject when I was talking
you're
about
gonna
it
hear
on
what
Twitter,
we think.
so definitely let me know what you think in the comments. Send me a tweet on Twitter. I've been Taylor for the Gaming Shelf.
Damn.
Thank you so much for watching, and
Can't
we'll see you next
do our
time.
videos now.
And he's done. Okay. Right.
We can't do our videos. It's not allowed proper formats for response.
It's not the proper format. You have to do a YouTube.
Remember when video responses used to be a bigger thing on YouTube?
Remember when video responses used to be a fucking feature?
Yeah. Now that's
Remember when that
targeted
actually
harassment.
was a thing? Man, that was a thing that I think should come back. I actually really think that was a good feature to be able to just have video responses baked into the system. That was really good. But, so yeah, I guess, in conclusion, right, to answer the question, are JRPGs becoming too lewd? Is it turning people away? I think that the objective answer is no. I think that the example he's using right now on screen proves him wrong, right? It proves that people are really into this kind of thing. They really like these kind of attractive, well-designed characters, right?
They just like the aesthetic too. Like
they like the aesthetics. They like the thick thighs, right? They like the boobs, right?
Sexuality, it shows that that type of comedic approach to sexuality, or that type of lighthearted approach to sexuality, is its own aesthetic. So even if you're not, aroused by it, that's also another thing that people genuinely enjoy. Again, my little brother is not interested in anime titties at all. Like, that's not his thing. He does not like, 2D stuff, but he actually finds the sexual comedy of something like this Gaia really funny. So
right, and that's what I'm getting at is, I don't think that it's turning people. I think that he's got these one or two anecdotes of people saying, yes, this turned me away, and he thinks that applies on a global scale, and I just don't think it does. I think there's vastly more people that enjoy this kind of content, and if you were to sacrifice it, using his own words, you would turn away more people than you would gain. Right? And that's always the problem when you're doing this kind of thing and you're thinking about, okay, I want to tone things down to bring in more people. You're always going to alienate the core fans. And when you alienate the core fans, then the people, and you don't. If it doesn't pay off, then you're fucked. It's as simple as that. It's why you have to keep the fans happy, in a sense. So yeah, what do you guys got to say before we end out?
Well, unfortunately, I made my points mostly in the video already. Because this is really a kind of a response video almost.
I just want to say, for a thing where you approached us or us and it was like, oh, it's just 1 point. This is probably gonna be a quick one. This is one of the longest videos we've ever done.
Yeah, I thought it would be like, oh yeah, the rest of it was gonna because this point, his last point at that 7:55 minute, I thought that was gonna be the main thing we talk about. But no, it turns out there was a lot more substance to this than I thought there was going to be.
Man.
I mean, well, hang on, because what is our Rika's our longest, isn't it? Rika's.
This is going 2 hours right now.
The longest is 2.5 from memory.
Oh yeah, that was the Rika Fag video.
All right, well, if we can draw this out, we
maybe
can
one of the E3s, but I don't really count the E3s.
We can beat Rika, but let's not drag it.
Nobody is going to watch this part. Ha ha ha. But,
yeah. But no, to cap it off, yeah, I think that I just think that he's wrong. I think that he's very wrong in his assumption that kind of in toning down the content will bring in more people. I think it's completely the opposite. I think it'll turn more people away, and I guess that's just my final thoughts on that.
For me, even if it would bring in more people, that's not the point of something being made. That's not a point of a creative endeavor being made. Art exists to serve itself. It doesn't owe something to the world. 5 people can enjoy that weird ass indie film that nobody else is going to be into, and that's perfectly fine. It does not need to remove any of its elements to appeal to a broader audience. You would like to share it with people. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes life isn't fair and you can't share everything with everyone. I want to say that again. Sometimes you can't share everything with everyone, and that is fine.